Good evening and thank you for joining us once again for this week's episode of Olsem Wanem. I'm Florence John Duo. Climate change is not a new issue of discussion in Papua New Guinea as well as the world. We have seen countless evidence that this is happening, yet we tend to turn a blind eye or simply ignore the fact that this is a critical and factual situation where people have been suffering and continue to suffer as a result of climate change. We now highlight some coastal provinces in the country whose people are suffering from rising sea level and what the International Organization for Migration is doing to help. Over the years, coastal provinces in Papua New Guinea have seen and felt the drastic impacts of climate change as a result of the rising sea levels.
So what is a group na kamanta bisa kam antapea mi plus stop or center so mi pena samu sleep mi pena so sleep all picking mi plus I put in more sleep now mi plus man mi plus lighting all mi lights na light me plus I stop overnight putting washer so water and slow down or come up at our waist now by me play run away talk but this mokata mana run away.
Papua New Guinea is also known for having the first climate change refugees in the world, yet many of us Papua New Guineans seem not to take this negative impact seriously. However, one man is determined to make a difference and help people realize the true impacts of climate change. Latin Dream is a man with perseverance to create effective advocacy campaigns on climate change in PNG.
My name is Latin Dream and I'm the PNG climate change advocate in the country. I've been walking around the country for the last 5 years. When we say climate change, the first climate change refugees are from Papua New Guinea, Carteret Islands in Bougainville. So PNG need to be taking lead in the region, especially on advocacy.
According to the Pacific Climate Change Science Program, the sea level will continue to rise in PNG. It is predicted that by the year 2030, the rise in sea level will have projected to rise in the range of 4 to 15 centimeters. This would be as a result of high emission scenarios.
So when you look in terms of the erosion that is happening, the coastal erosion, I don't see this community being there in the next 5 to 10 years with the way the erosion, the coast area is being eroded. Because the village used to be within the sea, but now it's already at the periphery to the other side of the sea, which means that this village will be no more soon.
Every individual can contribute in helping to reduce climate change with our day-to-day activities.
When doing things, we need to reduce our carbon footprint. Carbon footprint is about our attitude in emitting the greenhouse gases. Like when you're putting your phone on charge, when it's really full, you are not putting the power off. Or when the fan is on, someone is not in, it's just on. So you need to put it off. It's just about your contribution towards the changing climate today. We need to be more focused about changing ourselves. And we need to be realistic. We need to respect science. We need to respect the culture. We need to respect the church belief too, because all these things it's creating conflict. When we say science have different views on climate change, church are against it. So we need to come together as one voice to address the issue seriously.
Community should take a leading role in terms of the management of the situation, and all the stakeholders, when they come, they are complementing the community effort, and when they are complementing those efforts, it becomes an approach which is inclusive, which includes the community and outside stakeholders, and we have one common approach in dealing with this situation.
Welcome back. In this segment, we will hear the story of Latin Drihin, PNG's climate change activist, on how he has been carrying out his campaign on climate change in the country. Now, this guy is a very unique Papua New Guinean, as he has his own way of campaigning on climate change. He has walked for over 1,000 kilometers as part of his advocacy campaign. Yes, I said walked. This man is leaving his footprints in provinces he had visited. Papua New Guinea holds the largest rainforest area remaining in the Asia-Pacific region, with a range of vegetation including mangrove forests, lowland forest, alpine vegetation, grassland and savanna woodland. This helps in mitigating climate change. But with developments occurring at a very rapid pace and the lack of awareness drives on what can happen when we lose our forests has driven Latin to advocate on climate change. He now tells of some highlights of his advocacy campaigns.
From Boke, I walk from Boke to Medeng. Even during this walk, I've been counting my footsteps. And from Medeng, I end my footsteps at Kalibobo Lighthouse, and from there I continue on to Leh for another 17 days with 495,000 footsteps plus. Did another 3 days around the stadium in Leh. From there I decided to come to Mosby. Then I got the support from Office of Climate Change. I spent 1 year. Then did 6 days at the St. John Guy Stadium. I walk around the stadium 1 whole night and another 5 days, counting all my footsteps. From there I travel to Lihir. I walk around Lihir Island, the gold mine. And later I came back to Keweng, start my walk from Keweng to Namatanai. Then Namatanai back to Keweng, return walk with amazing 1 million step plus. So now I have 5 million footsteps during my walk for more than 1,000 kilometers so far in the country. One of my highlights in Manus when the town authority decided to cut down the trees because of the development, and people were arguing about why they're cutting down trees. So I came in a way that I need to be locked up, because trees are here and mankind, we get oxygen from the trees, and it take another 100 to 200 years for the trees to grow, and taking just 5 minutes to get the trees down. So I make a peaceful protest with gathering all the women folks in Manus, the Manus Council of Women, with the former Minister for Justice, Mrs. Nahauruni, who escort me to police cell, and I was locked up for 5 days behind bars with some of the inmates inside, and that's it.
He has now taken his campaign walk overseas.
So I take this challenge out of the country, and it's about faith that I'm getting through. And my first step out of the country will be in Fiji, and I will spend 3 months in Fiji, walking around the islands, visiting communities, other schools, institutions, universities. Even I will be meeting up also with the Fiji Prime Minister, just to a courtesy call, and also he will be touching my cross. With me, I'm carrying a 12-foot cross, which is about 3.5 meters, and that cross represents peace with nature, peace with environment. So that cross will be in Fiji during my walk. It's got a wheel at the end that I will be driving it around on my back.
This is a big achievement for this Manus man.
I feel proud because from nowhere, from the hard way, I've come this far. And taking this drive out, I think it's a call, wake-up call that PNG need to take lead and to be advocate in the Pacific, especially when we say climate change is a big issue. When we have the recent PIF meeting in Mosby, climate change was one of the agenda, and I think it's about time that there should be a networking of advocacy of climate change in the Pacific. And to drive this campaign out, I take it as it's part of my global campaign that I want to be on foot around the world, and that is to promote peace with nature, peace with God's creation. We need to love, we need to care, we need to respect, and we need to understand creations that we've been abusing and destroying, because climate change is about our attitude towards the environment. Environment is here to stay, and when we abuse, now we're facing climate change. Even nature has taken mankind into ransom, and climate change is here.
Welcome back to the program. Road management and funding are a big problem in Papua New Guinea. This was revealed in a research paper by the Australian National University in partnership with the National Research Institute of Papua New Guinea. The research also revealed that road management organizations are marginalized due to lack of government support, which is evident to the deterioration of many national highways and roads in the country. We now look at why road management and funding is an ongoing issue in the country. Stanley Over Jr. with more.
The poor state of limited reach of road networks is one of the greatest barriers to economic development in Papua New Guinea. Limited access to transportation prevents access to markets and to health and education services. This was revealed in a research paper on road management reform. The author of the research, Matthew Wanem, spoke of how the road conditions of the country's national highways and roads have gone from bad to worse in the last 40 years. He explained that roads are a public service, and if roads are not maintained, then the government is not playing its part.
Papua New Guinea's transport networks are failing. Major roads, including the crucially important Highlands Highway, have deteriorated alarmingly, raising the costs and reducing the availability of transport services. Most of the feeder roads are frequently impassable. Communities are becoming more isolated because of deteriorating physical infrastructure.
The research revealed that the primary reason for the poor state of roads in PNG is because of a deficient road management and funding system, meaning poor funding leads to bad roads.
The dilapidated state of infrastructure is largely the result of inadequate maintenance and poor management over a long period. Almost half of national roads and 2/3 of provincial roads need rehabilitation or reconstruction before they can be properly maintained.
The research states that road funding has changed in the 2015 national budget. This leads to another issue, which is road maintenance. Funding for maintenance and rehabilitation of roads and bridges are 44% lower than the 2014 national budget. Director of the National Research Institute, Dr. Charles Yala, described this as a huge problem for the country.
The main contribution of this report is to ignite a national debate on the need for an efficient, functioning and operating national road network which will stimulate productive investment and employment opportunity in this country.
Commercialized road management, the PNG National Roads Authority or NRA, was established. It was purposely recognized to operate a road fund and develop avenues to sustain road management and maintenance throughout the country. But the research discovered that NRA has not been fully implementing its core functions.
The creation of NRA, or the idea to create the NRA, was in itself a big step the government took to undertake reform. And reform is needed because the status quo is not sufficient, because the best ideas the government had today or at that time were invested to produce a result that never worked. And unless and until someone comes up with a better concept, the idea about National Road Authority and the Road Fund remains part of the best reform the government can showcase itself.
The main objectives of NRA are: 1. Raising funds for implementation of public roads. 2. To ensure the efficient preparation of effective annual road maintenance programs. 3. Ensure transparency of funding to optimize road assets throughout the country. But the research by Donen suggests that NRA will not be in a position to accomplish its objectives unless there is political support and engagement.
So expansion of the revenue base of the Road Fund is critical to its future, as well as being consistent with the government-endorsed National Transport Strategy. If the government fails to expand this revenue base, it will be yet another example of limited political engagement with and political support for the Road Fund.
You're watching Olsem Wanem. Strategic development planning is important for the country's economy. It provides an advantage for the national government to deliver its services more effectively. Road planning is one such service that needs more planning in the country. because it will not only link people to services but will cut down on costs from the national government. In this segment, Stanley Ove Jr. gives us an insight as to why planning is important and a way forward to deliver services to Papua New Guineans more effectively.
Following the launch of the Road Management Reform Paper, the director of the National Research Institute, Dr. Charles Yala, said strategic planning of all developments in Papua New Guinea is utmost important. In particular, Dr. Yala discussed why planning of roads plays a vital role in developing the economy. Strategic planning of roads simply means building roads to create economic opportunities. Planning, on the other hand, means considering the population and economy and building new infrastructures.
So the big question we have here as a research institute and a research question is, how are national infrastructures formulated or scoped, planned, and implemented, and then maintained over time. So in this particular one, we looked at the national roads, the national road system, and we looked at two important initiatives the government took some years ago with a view to maintaining maintenance of national roads.
Roads in towns and cities like Port Moresby, Lae and Mount Hagen need more proper planning. In Port Moresby, the increasing population has also seen an increase in vehicles that results in massive traffic jams and congestions. The country has approximately 30,000 kilometers of roads. Out of that number, only 9,000 kilometers are considered important to the national economy and are maintained by the national government. The remaining 21,000 kilometers of roads are local roads and are maintained by the provincial governments. While there is a drop in funding for road maintenance in the 2015 national budget, Dr. Yala said roads must be built in strategic locations, linking people to services and services to people.
We don't have to think about too many roads. All I'm saying is we think about few strategic roads that strategically connect this country and exploit the complementary with the ports and with the airport connection. So there must be an airport here, there must be a port there, there must be a strategic road that connects it up. And strategic to the point where it's able to stimulate investment in those areas. So the economy grows, creates jobs. I think that's really our real challenge here.
Investing in proper roads can benefit the economy, while the National Roads Authority is lacking the capacity to build a road fund to maintain roads in the country. Other avenues like the recently passed Sovereign Wealth Fund can invest for a sustainable road fund for the future of Papua New Guinea.
The challenge is not to build roads that lead to nowhere, but put roads that will bring in more. For example, for every 1 kina spent on a road, we must be able to make more than 1 kina.
And that's all we have time for on this week's episode of Olsem Wanem. If you have any comments or stories you would like to share, please contact us via the address showing on your screen or visit our Facebook page. For now, enjoy the rest of your viewing on your #1 station, MTV.